Saint Cyprian, the ecumenical teacher of the church. And here we see him on our left, and we see a young virgin on the right, Saint Cyprian and Saint Justina. Now, Saint Justina was a very devout, beautiful young Christian woman, a young virgin, and she had someone who, a pagan who loved her so much that he used black magic to entice her to leave Christianity and marry him. And he was using the man on the left before he became a devout Christian and even a bishop, Saint Cyprian, and a saint of Christianity. Saint Cyprian, before his conversion, was a black magician who was helping this young man, trying to entice the young Justina with black magic and curses and potions and whatever. But the more that the black magician, Saint Cyprian of his former life, was using his strength and magic potions and curses and whatever to somehow bring Justina to her pagan lover, the more Justina would pray and the black magic was not working on her. And that's how Cyprian realized that she believed in the true living God. And that's how the black magician turned into a saint, and Saint Cyprian. Now that's a little bit of the story behind his conversion. Saint Cyprian, the ecumenical teacher of the church, written by theologian Lambrusconzu, professor. Among the great fathers of our church, some stand out who are characterized as ecumenical teachers because with their work they sealed the course of the church and defined the boundaries of faith throughout the world. One of them is Saint Cyprian, Bishop of Carthage, in other words, Northern Africa. He was born around 200 AD in the North African city of Carthage. He came from an aristocratic pagan family which gave him a brilliant education. He studied rhetoric and philosophy and early practiced the profession of court orator in his homeland. But unfortunately, in his youth, he lived a sinful life, and as an outcast and idolater, he even dealt with magic, which was widespread at that time in the area of pagans. He became a famous magician, and to supplement his magical knowledge, he went to Antioch, where there was a famous school for magicians. And there he met beautiful, faithful Christian Justina, whom he had fallen in love with and was trying to conquer with his magical rituals. But this became impossible because of power, faith, and prayer of the pious young woman defeated the dark demonic techniques of the magician Cyprian, who renounced his error and broke and joined Christianity. In fact, Cyprian's conversion took place when he met a great man, Saint Jerome, Saint Hieronymus Jerome. He was one of the early Christian theologians who translated the Holy Bible, the New Testament, into Latin. Okay, so that's Saint Jerome, who made the educated Cyprian understand that idolatry was the work of the devil, and that the future of humanity belonged to Christ. After all, he himself saw the dramatic collapse of paganism and the weakening of its unscrupulous obscurantist priesthoods, despite all the persecutions that the Roman power had been exerting of Christians for 200 years, without being able to extinguish their faith. After going under catechism, he received holy baptism on Great Monday of the year 246 AD, promising to devote himself to the church as a cleric, as a priest, and to work for Christ. Soon he was ordained a deacon and left for his home of Carthage. He began to boldly preach the Christian faith in public, defying the fears of the persecutors, so that multitudes of pagans were converted to Christianity. In 247 AD, he was ordained a presbyter and intensified his struggle. The pulpit of the temple, which was working, was shaking from his fiery sermons. Now, in 249, Bishop Donatus died, and the clergy and people of the city unanimously elected Cyprian as its bishop. He immediately began the titanic task of rebuilding the local church, which was severely tested by the inhumane persecutions. And in the same year, Decius ascended the imperial throne of Rome, a ferocious man who was so terrible, also terribly superstitious. Unscrupulous priests of the idols, taking advantage of his passion, convinced him that supposedly the gods require universal worship from all subjects in order to bestow their favor on the state and himself, the new emperor. And among his first decrees was that of the obligation of all citizens to offer sacrifice to the gods, the pagan idols of Rome. The Christians refused that, and that is why the worst persecution up to that time was raised against them. Thousands of believers were arrested and led to horrible tortures. But they did not, in order to defy their faith, to sacrifice to idols. Now, Cyprian became the main target of the pagans. He was forced to hide near Carthage from their shepherding the people and encouraging the confessors of the faith. He returned in 251 after the death of Decius, the Emperor Decius. But in 252, a new persecution broke out in Carthage, which was accompanied by a terrible pestilence. Cyprian saved thousands of Christians and Gentiles with the fundraisers. He and the large body of Christians volunteers of his diocese. And at the same time, a great conflict broke out within the church regarding the treatment of those Christians who had bowed down and sacrificed to idols. Some did not accept to be forgiven by the church, and some accepted without consequences. Cyprian gave the solution to be accepted after sincere repentance. He was also called to deal with the schisms of the church. He ruled that salvation exists only within the church, and that schisms and heresies are outside the church. He was called upon to deal with the problem of those who came from heretics or schismatics, whether they should be rebaptized or not. He strongly supported their anabaptism because he believed that there is no baptism outside the church, even though he came into conflict with Pope Stephen, who accepted that baptism of heretics and schismatics was valid. He supported the unity of the church in the sacrament of the Holy Eucharist under the victorious bishop. In 256, a new terrible persecution was raised by Valerian. Cyprian was arrested and exiled to Kurubi, and a year later he returned, but the proconsul Galerius arrested him and subjected him to horrible tortures to become a pagan. In the end, he did not do this, and he was martyred by beheading September 14, 258 AD, he gave himself 25 gold coins to his executioner as a tip for the honor he did him to testify for Christ as a martyr. His memory is commemorated every year this day, October 2nd, together with the martyr Justina. Saint Cyprian belongs to the great fathers and theologians of our church and to the brightest figures in history. His theology was sealed by two local synods in 255 and 256 AD concerning the teaching of the universal church. He was a representative of the new Christian church, renovated world of truth and light, paying with his life the great price of the transformation of the old gloomy and nightmarish world of error and corruption. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.